Hello, everybody. Today's such an exciting day. I feel like it gets to be Christmas because you guys are going to get to hear all about my absolute favorite product. And you guys, you have to know today is actually being sponsored by Learning A to Z. I have partnered up with them after all of these years. I know I have been spreading the word about this particular program because it is the one go-to tool that every single online reading tutor must have on the planet because you won't need anything else. It is that good, you guys. So those of you who already have an account, you're going to be able to use this code Tutor21, and the rest of you who are like, okay, I've heard Learning A to Z. I've heard you talking about this before, Joanne, but I'm not sure which package I should purchase. Well, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And then for those of you who are already like huge fans like I am, we are going to give you a sneak peek into what's to be coming in the next school year. That's right. So you do not want to miss this, you guys, because there's some really awesome stuff here. I know lots of people always get confused on what package should they buy and all of that kind of stuff. And there's, sometimes confusion on the wording and that kind of stuff. So that is why I brought in Katie Dombrowski. Woo!
Thank you, Joanne. I'm so happy to be joining you today.
And I'm so happy that you are joining me as well. We just learned that we are both hairband aficionados. Yep. So we are here for our, hairband day. If you're at home, go find your hairband, throw it on. You can be just like us, okay? We are here to really take out that confusion that you guys might have as you're thinking about what is the best thing. Because I know a lot of you guys are struggling in the beginning. You're starting to think about, I'm just getting started. I don't have any students. So to fork over, $200 or $100, that's a lot of money. And in the beginning, it is. That's why they offer a free. You can check out any of the programs for how many days for free? Is it 14?
A 14-day trial, that's right.
A 14-day trial. And then they don't have to put their credit card down for that either, do they?
Absolutely not. Nope. It's just an email address, gets you your login information so you can go in, play around in the products, get a feel for, the layout, the types of resources that are offered, the scope of the resources, and, just get a really good sense of how you might use those resources with the different students that you're tutoring.
Yeah. And I think that's really awesome. Like this really is the go-to step when it comes to it. And yesterday I got to talk with Katie and we're kind of coming down like what would be the best way? Like if you were to purchase one thing right out of the gate, what would it be? And we both were like on the same brainwave. We're both like, it's gotta be RAZ Kids, the kids side of it, right? And so do you mind showing people what does the kids side of it look like?
Inside the product itself?
Inside the product
Or,
itself, like if I were to go on
yeah.
in as a kid, like what would that look like? What resources and tools are do I get if I just get res kids A to Z, the student side?
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right?
It's called RAZ Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's focused on students. It's really about providing that interactive, that engaging student experience for kids. They're obviously in need of extra practice, right? But practice can sometimes be rote, practice can sometimes be boring. It's not unique opportunities. That's the really cool thing about RAZ Kids. It's engaging, kids love it. There is a whole community built around the incentives with stars and the things that they can do and the worlds that it opens up for them within the product. So it's not just about getting that instruction that they need, but they're in a universe that is familiar to them. And they're digital natives kids these days, and they're gamers, and that's reflected in the platform of what they're using. Absolutely. So RAZ Kids is a great place to start for kids who need that extra practice.
Yeah, and it allows you too, like as a tutor, to go on in and set them up with their own account so that when they're at home in between your tutoring sessions, they can be reading books that are at their level. So when those parents are always saying, "Hey, well, do you have anything that we can work on in between sessions?" You can say yes, and you give them this link, and this is like a bonus. So I actually will like put that bonus on in there. I'll say, "I have purchased these products for you so that you can use them in between our sessions. This is a $300 value, or this is a $400 value, whichever products I'm, introducing them to." I'll say this is so that they understand, like, look, I paid for this for you. I paid for your seat to be in here. I really want you to be in here and exploring it and doing some stuff in between the sessions. And even creating like a quick video for your people so that they know how to log in will make it easier for them and take out they feel like they have to guess what to do when they log in for the very first time.
That's exactly right. There's also some additional things, Joanne, where there's letters home, right? Sometimes it's really hard to bridge that gap between what's my kid learning, whether it's in school or after school in that additional, extended tutoring opportunity. But it helps to bridge that gap. It helps to really give parents and caregivers an understanding of, what the kids are doing, how to, again, to your point, there's that functional piece, that access piece as well. But it really starts to set that stage for just bridging, the learning that's happening with a tutor or in school with what's happening at home too. So a nice way for parents to be involved in that process, and for teachers and tutors to not have to do that extra lift, right? Not having to go about it in a way that is, I need to write this letter. I need to figure out a way to make this explicit and clear to parents. Some of that is built right into the product. So
Yeah.
it's, again, just a really nice, easy, kind of seamless experience to get caregivers involved in that learning as well.
I am so glad you mentioned that, because actually those of you that have seen my assessment process that I use, I actually will write that in their letter. I will take some of the copy that is inside of that letter, and I copy it and put it there because it already has like the student's name. It has their symbol and it has their password. And so it makes it easy for them to then go on in and be able to find their child. So I actually just copy paste that like right on inside of my assessment report so that they can get that. And I'm sure some of you guys are like, "Where is that, Joanne?" Well, let me show you, because I don't want you guys sitting there and being like, "Oh, I don't know where to get that." So I'm going to share my screen with you guys on over here, and I'm going to go, I already have it as a tab, as you can see right there. It goes directly to RAZ Kids, so that I don't even have to type anything on in. I just log on into my side. I'm going to log on into the student side, and now I'm going to click on, if I just go to like roster or reports, it's going to pop on up. So I can go right on over here. It says student parent documents. And now I can go right on over to those student and parent letters. I can just take the student login card, or let me show you in the parent letter what I do. I'm just going to click on Charlotte here as if she was the only student that I was particularly writing to at this point in time. And I'm going to grab it right here. And this is the part that I will actually just grab and put on inside of there for them. So I just grab this piece. I do a little copy paste. I take that and I throw that on right on into there so they know, okay, here's how you log on in. Again, I also have like a video that I have created to make it really, really simple for them, so it's not confusing for them. And then on the kids side, I'm going to log out here. You cannot be logged into the RAZ and the kids A to Z RAZ Kids at the same time. You have to log out of one in order to log into another. So if you come on over, now you can see I can go right on over to Charlotte, and this is what it's going to look like when you just purchase the kids A to Z. I'm going to click right here and push go. That's her password. And now I can go right on into her reading room. And inside of her reading room, now you don't have all of these if you do not have the RAZ Plus. Is that correct?
If you do not have RAZ Plus, you do not have access to the instructional components. So there's access to the student components in RAZ Kids. RAZ Plus, if you get that, meatier package, if you will, that's where it's the joined up student and teacher instruction together.
Got it. So here I can just go right on in. I have the books available, but there's no teacher instructions for the books. Think about this as like a guided reading library. Okay. So you've got all of your books that are right here, and your student is at the level that they want to be at, which is really nice. You also have access to other tools as well. You have alphabet books, you have decodable books, you have high frequency books, you have read alouds, shared reading, sound symbol books, vocabulary and idiom books. We all know those kids struggle with idioms, our ESL students, right? So those are some extra things that you have access to as well. There's also fiction series and nonfiction series, and these are nice to know. Like as you go through the books, you kind of actually want to know this before you start reading, that it's part of a series. So definitely flip through them and get familiar with them, because it's kind of weird. I think the one series that got a little weird for me was the Hollow Kids. This series has to be read like in order. But what's really nice about the series is that if you read it in order, it moves up the levels over time, so that by the time you get to that last book, they're at the Z level. And that's kind of cool. And the first one starts at a level, let's see, Q. So it is really, it brings you from a Q to a Z, which is great, and it keeps their attention. They really like it, but it's really weird if you just step on into the middle of one of those books. The rest of them are you can step on into in the middle of. It doesn't matter so much, but the kids do like that they do move up in levels, and it's kind of like a regular like series that you would pick up, like Harry Potter, right? You pick up a Harry Potter book, and then when you're done with that first one, you go to the second one. So it's very, very useful and helpful. I love it.
Can I add one additional little bit of information? So
Yeah.
in addition to searching by guided reading levels using, via that bar, that you can also search by grade level or Lexile level. So there's different ways to approach these titles as well, depending on, how you are structuring the instruction with the students that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that's really nice that I really love that you guys have, like, I don't even have to be in your program. I can always access this. If you guys just put on in reading A to Z correlation chart, watch this. It's there. Like, it just pops right on up.
There you go.
You just like click it and there you go. So if you're like, but I don't understand like what an O is, this will tell you right here. This is second grade. It'll also tell you the Lexile. If they're using Faunus and Pinnell, it gives you the correlation for that. There's also another place that you can go for that, and that is right on inside of the teacher side. You can access that as well, and then you can select which columns that you want. But if you're just looking for like quick access and you just want the information quick, throw it into Google. This will pop on up, and it will save you tons of time. Awesome.
Right. Saving time is the name of the game, right?
It really is. Now so that is just the kids, the RAZ Kids side of it, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the number one thing. Like if you're just getting started, you're like, I don't know what to get started with. That's what you start with. You start there, okay? If you are at the point where you're like, no, I can take on more than that, and you want the best package possible, get RAZ Plus. Because RAZ Plus has all the teaching materials that are going to go along with each of those books. And so if you do like to have that guidance on, well, how do I introduce the book? Or how do I do these different things? You have all of that information right there at your fingertips. There's also other components that I really like. I like the Fluency component where it has fluency passages for your students. And I've also purchased on some other stuff as well, which we'll talk about. But RAZ Plus is going to give you both that whole teacher side with all the lesson plans and resources and materials and worksheets and tons and tons of stuff. Whereas RAZ Kids is just the kids component, but RAZ Plus has both pieces built right on into them. So if you have a little bit extra to spend, or maybe you get some Christmas money, or maybe you get an extra student, this is where you want to go definitely first. And remember that with the code Tutor21, you're going to get $10 off of everything that you select. So if you decide I'm going to buy it all today, that's cool. You're going to get $10 off of each of those different pieces. So it's a really great combo package to take a look on at. So let's take a look at what does that teacher side look like, because you've seen the student side. We're going to come on over here to the kids RAZ. We're going to go to RAZ Plus. It already has me logged in so nicely. Here we go. And so inside of here, look at this. You guys are always mentioning. So tell us about how many books you guys are adding, because I always see like new books that you guys are adding.
So we are up to about 2,600 books in RAZ Plus is our number at this moment in time. And you're right. We're constantly looking at our book library. We're constantly looking at things like, state and national standards. What topics are being covered? How can we integrate some really great content area books into our library? We're looking at ways to really integrate books that are, dealing with inclusivity and diversity, and really just helping to promote meaningful conversations between and among learners and the educators. So yeah, adding content and adding resources to RAZ Plus. We're constantly iterating. Every single month, we're pushing out new content and new ways for educators to leverage the resources. So yeah, we are constantly adding and growing our library of resources.
And I was so amazed. So yesterday I found out this fun fact. There's like 405 employees over at Learning A to Z.
We've been growing. We've been growing over the last couple years. It's really exciting. I mean, we're doing some really awesome things, as you alluded to. I have a little bit of sneak peek information I can share about some new products that we're working on. But yeah, we have an awesome team, really dedicated group of people, a lot of former educators, myself included. So folks who, were in the classroom at one point, but just have teachers and kids at heart and in our minds. And so constantly working in service of all of you.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. And it's such a great team there. But if we take a look at all of this on the left-hand side here, you see these are all things that you guys have access to. So this is different curriculum. So tell us about the curriculum and how that works.
Yeah, so the curriculum, and that's broken up into about 32 weeks of instruction, can be used flexibly. So obviously does not need to be used in a very stringent or explicit way, but it can be. All the lessons are numbered. But there is the literacy curriculum map, and then there's also foundational skills that we cover in RAZ Plus as well. So runs the gamut from grades K through 5, so whichever grades you're focusing on. But again, if you're working with a third grader who is deficient in certain skills, you can pick and choose. There's that flexibility of the product that makes it really usable and approachable for all of the students that you're working with. So you'll have access to all of that right within RAZ Plus as well.
I love that. That's awesome. So if you take a look at just take a look at the foundational skills here, we can go to grade 1 and you can see here, if you wanted to break it down by each week, there it is. How sweet is that? I mean, that's amazing. And you can add it to your file cabinet if you want to. There's things that you can add inside of there. But here, look at this. It breaks it down. Like, here's your phonological awareness. Here's your phonics that you can be building on in with all of the resources right there. There's a 5-day implementation guide on exactly what to do. You get a lesson guide, a listening activity, a poem, a work mat. All of this fun stuff is just incorporated right on in there so that you do not have to do all of the prep work for that. And I think this is what I've always really loved about this particular resource is it takes the prep work out of it for me so I can focus on what I do best, which is teaching kids.
That's exactly right. And I'm so glad to hear that the work that and that's our goal, right? Is we want it to be an easy lift on the educator. And it's good to hear that that's how it's received. I think if we go back even just a little bit, if you can go back to that curriculum tab, when we think of literacy instruction, like I just want to really make the point known too that we're doing our due diligence, right? Like we're mapping all of what's being covered in RAZ Plus to those state and those national standards. We're covering those rich social studies and science topics within this curriculum. It's really aligned for each of the grades so that the content is relevant and that it's helping students to make that progress within the classroom as well. So just wanted to make sure that was noted.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I was gonna go back to the literacy one here because that was on over here. This is the specific like literacy one. If we come back to grade 1, how does that look different than just the phonics piece of it, right? So here, look at this. It's spread up into units, which is fantastic. And here we've got all the different like weeks. What is it that you specifically do? So you start here with week 1. So I mean, if you had your own home, you could have your own homeschool, you guys, and be able to teach literacy. It would be pretty awesome. There are now lots of people that are doing what's called pods, and they are hiring somebody to specifically teach the reading component to the group of children that it is applicable to. So that is something that could open up your minds as well to all the different resources and tools. Look at all this. It's got grammar and word work and writing. Everything that you guys would need is all right here at your fingertips. I love it. And if we come on over here, we've got our leveled text. This is one of my favorite places to go. I'm constantly going to all leveled books, and then I'll pick the level that I want to. So let's go with G for a second here. And when we go on inside of here, I'm going to pick one of the books that I love, Bunk's Bad Dreams. So we'll go to this one. You have the ability to just assign this book to a specific student. You see this here? You guys can click and assign it to a student if you want to. Or let's say you just wanted to work on this side of the world, the teacher side. You've got some resources and tools that are going to help you do that. One of those is the Projectable. And that works great in our online tutoring format because you have all these access to all of these tools on over here. You've got the pen, you've got highlighters, you can write in some text. So let's say that you're making some connections. You can write those connections inside of there. You've got all these different stamps that you can use. You've got all these different frames that you can use. You can always erase anything that you don't like, and you can always go back and reset the page or the entire book. But we'll actually keep the marks that you have inside of that book if you don't reset it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you could go back to that book, like if you didn't finish what you were doing with your student, you could go back to the book and those marks would be there unless you reset it.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's really, really a cool resource and a cool tool. And then here, you guys have it all mapped out, like the high frequency words that are going to be inside of there, some story words that are going to be inside of there. And then there's also some pre-made vocabulary lessons that you can access if you want to, and different worksheets that you can access. This one's on vowel digraphs, and you can utilize that worksheet. There's word work here on antonyms. So much stuff, you guys. I love it. You know what I just realized? I didn't even know this, that you could do the comprehension in the projectable here No, that wasn't the one. I found where the comprehension questions, was it this one? The projectable? This one has the workbook. I found something the other day, and it was all of these questions, but you could be answering them like you answer on the kids' side, it looked like where answers the question, or maybe it just had the answer in it. I'm not sure.
Maybe I'd have to see it. There is definitely talking right between what's happening on the teacher portal and then what happens on the student portal.
Mm-hmm. So these are just like really, really great tools to be able to utilize with your students. Extra skills, packets, tools, all those kinds of things, they are all right there for you. So this is the teacher side of it, right? Like it's got all these lesson plans and tools, and hopefully you guys are already starting to see like how useful this is. This is my favorite one. I come here every day. Every single day I come here. So this is the Fluency passages. It makes it super easy. When I teach Fluency, I teach 2 levels below their guided reading level. So let's say the kid's on a U, then I'm going to be using the level S. And I can just click this. I just pull it down as a PDF, and then I have my student read the passage while I time them, and then I take a look at any mistakes that they have, and I'm able to, from there, guide them on how to read the words they weren't able to read correctly. Then I have them read it again, and then I do a read so they can get that fluency and they could hear what fluency sounds like, and then they get to read it one last time so that they can apply some of the things that we talked about. And that's a really, really cool tool. Anything else that you want to say about the teacher side or bring people's attention to over here?
Just wanted to explicitly call out a couple things. So in terms of format, so you mentioned projectable, you talked about the PDF. I think that what didn't get said explicitly is that means it's printable. So you can either be working on these things on your desktop, on your laptop, on your mobile device. You can project them and you can print them. So a variety of formats, no matter what the mechanism is that you're using with your students. A really key feature of RAZ Plus, just in terms of organization and making sure that you're building up your own personal repository of the things that either resonate well with your students or things that you're touching on, that file cabinet. That file cabinet is, and we named it as such, it's supposed to be similar to your old school metal filing cabinet where you stored your papers in your folders, but you can really customize that and make it your own. You can find the organization that works for you, so you're documenting and saving the things that work really well. That's a big differentiator though between RAZ Plus and with RAZ Kids. So with RAZ Kids, you're not getting that file cabinet. It's a really helpful tool for you, the tutor, the educator, to have at your fingertips. So it even reduces a little bit more of that prep time, right? Like you've already done your due diligence. You've saved that at some point along the way. You know that it's a great resource for you. So just wanted to call that out. The other thing, and we touched on this just a little bit, standards correlations. So, really super specific to the states, to the national standards. And then just the scope of the skills that are being taught. So yes, the ultimate goal with RAZ Plus is on student comprehension, but by way of project-based learning and 21st century skills, higher order skills, foundational skills. So just a really good representation of what our young learners need in order to be successful and access that text and be successful lifelong learners and readers.
And that's really helpful. I mean, even if we do come on over to this literacy curriculum map, sequence and standards here, if you know that you have a kid that is struggling with identifying genre, I mean, you can easily find those resources and those tools that are going to help you to be able to teach that specific skill as well. Oh, that is another thing too, as well, because you guys do have the comprehension skills. So I always type this on in. There's comprehension skill packs that you guys have. I love those. This comprehension skill packs, let's push enter here. The skill packs, like you've got those specific skills that they are not doing really well with. I love taking their reading level and working on that skill at the reading level that they're on versus their grade level. So if you can kind of hide that a little bit before you pull any of that kind of stuff up, if they're reading at a lower grade level, that's always very useful to do. Then they don't feel, like they're having to be pulled up with lower kind of text. So if we come here, if they're struggling with fact and opinion, you've got resources at your fingertips. You've got a passage here. You have the teaching that goes along with that, again, so that you can know exactly how to model it. You have the passage right here that they can read from, and you can write on the text if you just click on right here, the projectable. You can even be writing on the text if you want to, but this is where you get to teach this specific skill of what is fiction and nonfiction. Then the other passages have some interactivity with them as well. And if we take a look at the interactivity, they're doing some sorting, some moving around, is this a fact? Is this an opinion? They're getting some practice with that skill. So they have that opportunity to do that as well. So there's some really great tools and resources. And these comprehension skill packs, they're not inside of the kids A to Z, but you can assign it to any of your students. So if I want to assign this, I'm going to assign this to Ty, then when he goes on in, he's going to see that activity there for him when he logs in. So that's really awesome. I love that. My kids love it too. They think it's so cool when I go on in and they can see that those resources are already in there. So that really makes it easy for you. So again, though, because the grade level is on there, you do want to be sensitive to the fact that you want to have that pulled up ahead of time before you start working with your student. I always work on the student side of things when I'm reading books and that kind of stuff. I don't work on over here on this side. But you can, if you have two computers like I do, you could have a lesson plan on a bottom screen, and then you could have the book up on the top screen. So if you ever need to look down and check what it is, make sure that you're staying on track with what you want to stay on track, you could. If you use lesson plans, and that's your style. So really, really great stuff. Anything else inside of here you wanted to bring their attention to?
There's so many great things, right? I feel like we could talk about it for a really long time.
I know.
I think it's always worth noting that there's, additional practice for writing, handwriting, that grammar and word work and vocabulary. So we're thinking kind of holistically about, English language arts skills. And just, again, not everything's right within the product, right within this platform. All of the additional ancillary resources that you may need to support the instruction all can be found within here as well. So did just want to call out those additional skills that are touched upon.
I love it.
We do have some text in Spanish. So if you have non-English native speakers, you'll be able to have some resources for them as well. I'm just taking a peek in here about other things that are super juicy and exciting, but I think you touched very energetically on most of the things that are that are awesome about the program and that make the learning and the teaching really fun.
Yeah, and think about it too. If you're a Spanish tutor, I know Beth, she's been using RAZ Plus as well, and she's a Spanish tutor. So she's teaching kids all about, how to read in Spanish and speak in Spanish and listen in Spanish and hear in Spanish. And she's able to use the resources inside of here to even support that, which makes it great because she can say, okay, they're at a beginning reader. I can use some of the nonfiction text over here. This will be perfect. Or, if I want to build these vocabulary words, there's so much here that you can do. And you also have, other languages available as well for some of it.
We do French. We have French, if you can see on the screen here, British English, Polish, Ukrainian, Vietnamese for some of those resources as well. And I think worth calling out that when we're thinking of Spanish or additional world languages, it's not just for one little finite set of the resources. If you're looking at Spanish, for example, it's multi-genre books and passages. There's assessment features. There's foundational skills that you can touch on, and then additional skills as well, the comprehension, close reading, summer school, and different graphic organizers that can support all of that learning. So just a really nice set of resources no matter what the needs are of the students that you're tutoring.
Yeah, and look at all that. There's just so much here, you guys. There's the comprehension skill packs here, so maybe they're having a hard time understanding in Spanish. You can utilize those, right? And then you've got just everything. It's just amazing. You guys, I can never say enough good things about this particular program and product. So if you're on the side where you're like, okay, the only thing I can afford right now is RAZ Kids, cool. RAZ Kids is it. But if you're ready to take that second leap, you go into RAZ Plus. Now, let's say somebody goes into RAZ Kids, but they decide a month later, "Ah, I really wish I had all those other resources, and I went into RAZ Plus." How easy is it for people to just call up that number and make the switch and do all that?
Yeah, so I would say absolutely. If you go in and Raz Kids doesn't seem like it's enough for what your needs are, get in touch with customer service. Absolutely, folk. We're able to help get you access to Raz Plus so that you do have the ability to use all of those really great instructional resources as well. And we can. I do not have it offhand, but I should. But we can provide the number for customer service for Learning A to Z customer service, just to give us a call and figure out the right package for you.
And I just have to like give kudos to the entire customer service team. Anytime I have had a problem, I have always dealt with a very personable person. Just like they're ready to listen to whatever is happening for me, or they're always looking out for my best interest. It's not like they're trying to upsell me or do those kinds of things. They're there to be like, okay, what is it that you need? How can I help you with that? Okay, let's do that. And they fix it in the system and boom, I'm done. Very quick, very, wonderful experience. And, it's one of those things that a lot of companies are missing these days, but not Learning A to Z. They really do a great job of, if you've got any issues. So if you decide you want to switch over to the next package, you absolutely could do that. So that's easy to do. And then next we've got the Vocabulary A to Z. Tell us more about Vocabulary A to Z.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So Vocabulary A to Z is an add-on, if you will, to Reading A to Z or to Raz Kids or to Raz Plus, whatever you're using. But it's really focusing on things like phonics and grammar. It's focusing on spelling. It's focusing on vocabulary in context, able to really hyper personalize that experience. You can take your own spelling words, you can take your own vocabulary words, you can take the vocabulary from the content areas that you're using, you can import that into the Vocabulary A to Z platform and make that usable so that it's really extending the learning that's happening in other areas, whether that's in the classroom or other areas that you're working on with a student, in those after school opportunities as well. There's things like connections to popular reading series. There's printable lessons, very much so in the same vein as what Joanne just shared with Raz Plus and with Raz Kids. Instructional support for the teacher, game-based activities. So again, engaging, fun. It's an environment that's familiar to kids, right? Again, back to that digital native piece. They're used to playing games. They're used to interacting in a digital space. And so Vocabulary A to Z does a really nice job of vocabulary work, and word work is hard, and it makes it fun, and it makes it a lot easier for both the teacher and the student. And that was one of the goals of ours with this, is that we wanted it to take that hard work and make it easy and make it fun.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So let me show you guys what I do specifically when I'm using A to Z. So Vocabulary A to Z, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start over here. So this is how I use it. So let's say I'm reading a leveled book. So I'm going to go to the all leveled books. I'll search the leveled book that I'm specifically want to read with my child, because I have my students pick the books that they're going to read. I never tell them what they're going to read. I do give them choices based off the genre that we're specifically studying at the time, but then they get to choose from there. And so let's say that we are going to, I'm going to use a harder one. So I'm going to go to T, and let's go to Albert Einstein here. And all you have to do is edit the lesson at vocabularyatoz.com. What I love about this is it already has all of these words already right here, and I now can select or deselect them. So if my student knows what an atom is, I can deselect it. If they don't know what a molecule is, I can leave it there. None of them ever know what a patent is, so that usually stays there. Usually they can't explain what physics is to me. They might say something with science, but that's all about as far as they get. Theory they might get, universe they might get. If they do, then I just like X out of them. But then there's some other academic words. So I usually like to have a good 5 to 8 words on my list that we're taking a look at from the book. So if they didn't know like the word astounded, I can add that inside of there. Or maybe they don't know what a solar eclipse is, then I can add that there. And now I can save the lesson. As I save it, let's see, I'm going to go to, I usually do uncategorized, but, and then I always, if it says like, you already have that, then I will just throw in like the student's initial, or I'll put, a number 1 there, save the lesson, because I do a lot of these. But then you can assign it to the specific student that you want to be able to use this with. You can also allow them to select everything, or you can create an intervention where you're selecting certain activities that you want them to do in a certain order or a preset. So I usually I just allow it to be student selection. I click on vocabulary. I choose my students. I'm going to put in Thai again so that you guys can see what this looks like on Thai's side. And I am done. And that's how I do it really quickly. Now, I could select each one individually and do all of that, but I'm looking to really, speed is the name of the game when you're working with kids online. So I'm going to come right on over now to the student side. I'm going to log out of here, go into Thai so that you can see what does it look like for Thai. Let's log out of Charlotte. Go on into Thai's account. And I'm going to click on over here to the vocabulary assignment. And here's Albert Einstein. So I can click on this right now. And now I can go in and I can just focus on those words. I love using the word videos, going into flashcards. Then I do match it definitions, match it sentences, which word definitions, which word sentences. If they have the ability to, if they're not on a Chromebook or they're not on an iPad, they're on a computer where I can hand over the controls to them, then I will give them vocabulary memory match, and they really love that, and they like Wordorama as well. So we'll just choose a couple of these to play and then go from there, and then we go on into reading our book. And I love that. Like, there's so little planning for me to have to do. So incredible. I absolutely love it.
That is the nice part, right? Like, there's so many different places to go to find information to use with students, but then you have to do that additional work of making it all make sense together, or finding the manipulatives that work with it, or the cards or the worksheets, or however you want to make it all make sense. But that's always been the really nice thing about the Learning A to Z products, is it's all right there for you. So to your point earlier, you can do what is the most meaningful, which is interact with your students.
Yeah. And there's 2 new products that you guys are going to be releasing in a little bit.
There are. So we have been working diligently on two new programs. One is called Foundations A to Z, and the other is Writing A to Z. Name is familiar. This one is a completely reimagined look at writing and how to bring writing into the classroom, built on the science of writing, really showing that intersection of reading and writing together. They should never be uncoupled, right? They're part of the skills that we need to really master to be successful readers and learners moving forward. If you see on either side of me, there's some really cute, I gotta move this way, some really cute characters that are associated with these products. They're gonna follow the kids through for all of that learning. They become their kind of, friends on their learning journey through the different grades. But in terms of a focus, Foundations A to Z is your super deep dive, explicit, systematic instruction. It is foundational skills, not just a subset. It's not just phonics. It's not just phonological awareness. It's everything. It's vocabulary. It's fluency. It's, alphabet. It is all of that stuff that kids need to learn how to access before they can even do the hard work of a program like reading RAZ Plus or Reading A to Z or RAZ Kids, where they're really more so interacting with that content area, those leveled books. This is really making sure that they have mastered the foundations and that they are set up for success with those that higher order kind of thinking and problem solving and comprehending piece. And then Writing A to Z, again, like I said, is just, it's an add-on to the RAZ Plus RAZ Kids experience, but it is really being intentional about how we teach kids to write, what the implications are of writing, and how writing and reading, again, should never be uncoupled, and what power that brings to students when they become proficient readers and writers. So we're super, super, super excited. If you go to learningatozee.com today, right on the home screen, you can see a video. There's a product tour for both of these programs, so you can go in and get a little bit of a sense of what they look like. It's a very modern, it's a very clean look and feel. It's organized super, super, super well. With a gradual release model in every single lesson, so that we're starting with that I do, we do, you do, and really scaffolding that learning along the way. These products will be available for use starting in July in 2022. So for next school year, they're available. But between now and then, please engage with us. We would love to share what we have to date with folks. Like I said, there's a product tour on the learningatozee.com site now. You can learn a little bit more about the characters and the product and what it means to be built from the ground up on the science of reading, which was really important to us in the development of these two new products.
I love it. So you guys incorporate the science of reading. Have you had any scientific studies done of people going through the program itself?
So that is part of, oops, I am playing something. That is part of our year one. So the product is not fully baked yet. We've done what we call our market launch, which is, sharing it out with folks like you and with other educators, just to get a sense of what is to come. And so those efficacy studies are part of our year 2+.
Awesome.
Part of our year 2+ story. But really important, is that we've taken all of that rich science of reading research. We've synthesized it in-house. We figured out, how do we make this fit with the goals of our product in an approachable format, in much the same way that our existing book bag of products does. So based on really rich science of reading research that is, not new. It's years and years of compounded research and learning how students best learn to read, and really tapping into that. There's those three words, systematic, explicit, and cumulative, wherein we're constantly making sure we're going back and we're reviewing and we're making sure that students have mastered skills before we move them on. So yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting time at Learning A to Z. The programs look amazing. I am sure, Joanne, that you will absolutely love both of them. And you will love the cute little characters. I'll have to send you, when we get them in, we have some little plush toys. Aww. And stress guys in the works right now, and then you can have access to all of our fun new learning characters as well.
Now I heard that you have these characters set up in your office, and your daughter calls them your work friends.
She does. So Grom and Zam, the little guy in the orange on my, oh my gosh, this is my right over here, and then the blue character, those are Grom and Zam, and I have little ones of those figurines. And yes, my 4-year-old always says, "Look, Mommy, I'm playing with your work friends," and it's just a very endearing way. But it's hard, with little kids. It doesn't always translate the work that you do, but she sees these little characters, she hears their voices, she sees the activities on screen, and her interest is piqued right from the beginning. And she's, again, 4 years old. So imagine when kids who are a little bit older and can really engage with the content and the characters, how exciting it is for them.
Yeah. So I know some people are wondering all about okay, so is this kind of replacing Headsprout? This is Headsprout is still a really great program, you guys. So if that's something that you guys want to look on into, definitely take a look at Headsprout. It is a fantastic program. How is Foundations A to Z different from Headsprout?
Sure. So Foundations A to Z, at its core, is not adaptive, which Headsprout is, right? So it has a little bit more of that set it and forget it mentality. One of the biggest things that we wanted to do with Foundations A to Z, when you take some of that, content that sometimes can be perceived as boring, we wanted to make sure that the teacher was kept at the heart of this learning, because you all are just so wonderful at your craft. And sometimes with adaptive programs, that voice, that, that human emotion gets taken out. And so a major difference is that, right, that it's not an adaptive program in that same respect. and a really huge emphasis on the teacher's learning and how that applies to the learning that they're helping their students do.
Yeah, so you even have inside of there, I noticed, if a teacher doesn't know how to teach a specific thing, you even have, like, here's how you would teach it, videos
Absolutely.
built
Yeah.
into
So
it.
that's right. We have a really amazing repository of point of use professional development and in various formats. So maybe you're somebody who learns better by watching a video, or you prefer to read a research article, or you would like to listen and there's podcasts. So different ways to interact with those professional development opportunities. And the nice thing too is, again, because it's point of use, it's not like you sat through a professional development in March and now you're trying to apply it in May, right? It's happening right while you're doing it. So you're looking through the lessons, you're saying, hey, I'm going to use this with my students, but I don't feel like I have the language to do that, or I don't know the right steps to do that in, or what resources to support that. We're helping to support the educator as they make this shift, right? Because the science of reading, not that the research is new, but that way of teaching, that explicit, following a systematic approach, it's different than the way that a lot of us who have taught in the last 20 or so years have been teaching in our classrooms. And so we just want to make sure that as your partners in the classroom, that you feel that partnership, that you know that we're there to support you when you need it, how you need it, and as often as you need it.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've got Amy John Gava in the house and Bev in the house, and Amy says that she so appreciates us actually kind of walking through some of these things, and she's wondering if there's going to be a replay. Yes, you can always get a replay, Amy. It'll be right here on my YouTube channel. I see you're already inside of YouTube right now, and you can watch us right from the beginning. We are live right now. It's 12:21, but you will be able to access it as soon as it kind of converts and then is ready to be on my channel. You'll find it at youtube.com/Joanne Kaminski. And welcome, Bev. We're glad that you are here as well. She is from Cyprus, and Beth is in the house as well. So we want to thank you guys for joining us today inside of the house. And for those of you that are looking for that discount code, all right, because this is for December only, I have partnered with Learning A to Z. This is the first time I've ever partnered with them. I'm very excited about it, and they were very gracious. They actually gave me a full year of the products that I had purchased. I had actually already purchased in November because it was like the November deal. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get that right now. So I had already purchased for a year. So they covered me for the next year after that as a thank you for promoting their product. But you guys know that that's not why I'm promoting their product. I'm promoting their product because I have been utilizing this tool. It is the one go-to source. And, you know, when I look at collaborations like this, I really am looking to collaborate with only the resources that I would highly suggest to people. I am very picky on who I do these types of collaborations with. So know that this is not I'm not pitching you because I think that, you know, this could be a great product and they paid me or anything like that. I would promote them regardless because it is the best tool. And if you look back on my channel, you'll see that I probably have 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. I have a ton of videos that I've done specifically just on Learning A to Z where there was no collab or sponsoring or any of that kind of stuff because it's just awesome. What this allowed me to do by collaborating is to give you a bigger discount. Okay, so you guys are going to get $10 off. My affiliate code that I would use in the past had a $5 discount for you. You guys now get $10 off of each one that you purchase. Okay, so let's say you decide to go with RAZ Plus and you add in vocabulary, you know, A to Z. You'll get $10 off both of them, not just one. So it's off of each product. And I think that's really, really cool. And I really cannot wait until Foundations A to Z and Writing A to Z comes on out. We are going to have to connect again when that big day happens and
We
really
absolutely are.
blow
Yeah,
it up.
you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the additional content that you have to work with your students. Absolutely. They look lovely. The instruction is really rich. The professional development opportunities are just, I mean, they're unlike anything I've ever seen in product before, right? And I've been in the classroom and I've been working on, you know, more this side of the education space for over a decade now. And it's exciting. I think that for those of us who fancy ourselves lifelong learners. It's a tool that allows you to continue to learn and hone your craft
Yeah.
while also doing right by your students. And that's really
Yeah.
powerful.
And I think too, and I think this is really important for a lot of teachers, validating what you're doing. So sometimes we'll watch this stuff and we're like, oh, I do that. And it just makes us feel good inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you sometimes just wonder, you're like, am I doing it right? Should I be teaching it like this? Or, and you watch somebody else do it and you're like, okay, I'm doing it right. So that validation is really powerful too when you take a look at that, and it hones on in that this is a best practice you should be doing in your tutoring and all of that great stuff. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Even if, so I see that Lisa, she actually already has the Reading A to Z currently. Awesome, Lisa. Love it.
Awesome.
If you want to renew for the next year, even if it's not like ready for like another month or two, like it's not up for renewal, you could renew it for another year right now and save that $10 on each of the products that you currently have. So that's something else to take into consideration. Again, its code is Tutor21. I love that. Everybody wants to be 21. They want to go back to when they were 21. I don't know if I want to go back to 21, but it's kind of a magical year, isn't it? It's like you're finally accepted into the world of adulthood.
And I felt it was like one of those last big birthdays you celebrate, right? Other than that, you're like, oh, I don't know.
I know,
true.
True. I mean, like when you hit 40, like while it can be exciting, you're not sitting there like, yay, I'm 40. Instead, you get a whole bunch of black balloons and stuff, and you're like, yay, I'm 40. But 21's pretty exciting. Like you can finally drink here in the U.S. And do those kinds of things. So yeah, there's something very exciting about that. So 21, Tutor 21. Now you guys will remember that it's 21 because we just shared all of that fun stuff. That's how I teach you guys all the time. Association. It's association that allows us to hold on to information and be able to regurgitate it later. So now that even though some of you didn't write it down, maybe you're driving the car, you're going to remember when you go back home that it's Tutor 21. Awesome stuff, right? Well, thank you so much for joining us, Katie. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I always love talking shop with other like-minded people and, lovers of education and students and teachers. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you for partnering with Learning A to Z. And thanks for being such a big cheerleader and passionate about the work that we do. It's
Yes.
nice to hear. It's nice to hear it validates to the point of validation. It validates the work that we do tremendously to know that it's being used well and received well. So thank you.
It is. And it would be the most heartbreaking day if something ever happened to your company for me. I don't know what I would do. Like I might not recover. It would be like a mourning for me. So please keep doing the stuff that you guys are doing, because it really does make our job a lot easier to be able to serve the kids that are struggling the most and be able to get results for them very quickly. Having those resources at the tip of our finger, there is nothing like it in the literacy world. And thanks for just being great.
So much.
And thank you guys for joining us today. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. So glad that you were able to join us, and we will see you